Welcome back to the Smith and Burke podcast. I'm Smith and he's Burke.
It's true.
So, you've been gone everywhere.
It's true.
All over the country. All over the southern part of the country.
I didn't realize...
2 weeks, pretty much?
Yeah. I didn't realize how big the South was. I was like, I'm just going to go on a trip, see all my friends who live in the South, and I started off, I went to Nashville, I went to Georgia, I went to Florida, and I was in Florida, saw there were more people in Florida than I thought.
They're all moving there.
They're all moving there. All like more friends than I have is what I meant by that. But then I was realizing, I was like, Dominic's in the South, my brother. I was like, I should just go see him in Louisiana. Can't be that far. It was 13 hours.
From Florida to Louisiana?
Yeah, I totally misjudged it. So I was sitting there in my car, and I looked it up the night before, and I was like, I already told them I was coming. And
but you told them they were coming before you looked it up?
Yeah.
So you committed before you knew it was 13 hours?
Yes, okay. I committed before I knew. And I thought it was like, okay, like the South, right? Like I'm thinking I was going to be driving from like Milwaukee to like Chicago or like to Minneapolis, like 4 hours at tops.
Right.
No, 13 hours. It was literally the same distance had I just left from Illinois to go to Louisiana.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So but I did it. I ended up going. It was awesome. I went to their church they have there. Because we had Ash Wednesday while we were down there. That was really good. That was in Florida is where I had Ash Wednesday. But stayed with this awesome family. There was this couple. They're both converts. One of them had like been raised Catholic and then left, got mixed up in like some non-denominational stuff, and he was gone for like I think he said like 30 years before he came back to the church. So it's an older couple. And then his wife just converted like last year, I think. So it was really interesting. But there's a lot of that.
So how long have they been married?
Oh, like 40 years. 40, 50 years.
She waited that long before. That's crazy to
Well, it took him that long to come back.
Okay, so he came back at the same time she converted. So they kind of did it together.
Yeah, there was maybe he came back a little bit sooner. It was easier for him since he was already Catholic.
Right, he can just start going.
They go through OCIA now. It's not RCIA.
Yeah, I don't know what the O stands for. I don't know what it was. So it was originally Rite of Christian Initiation.
Yep.
And now it's OCIA. I don't know what the O stands for, but yeah, there's lots of
Order of Christian Initiation of Adults.
So it's changed from rite to order. Yeah,
I don't know why. I'm sure somebody had a whole disagreement with that. I'm sure there's a very good reason.
Yeah,
but it's above my pay grade.
Yeah, it's just a name.
Yeah, but yeah. So there's been this huge resurgence of converts now.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah,
it's crazy. There's more. You said there's more this year than in many years. Yeah. And you've been seeing there's lots of articles and things talking about Gen Z coming back to conservative Christianity and just conservative and traditional, more traditional Christianity, I think is a better term to use. And it's crazy the numbers
surgeons.
that are the surgeons of people coming back.
Yeah, I know, dude, like St. Catherine's, like that little parish, that little podunk parish in Prophetstown, they, I think we're getting we have 2 people coming in.
Yeah, and that's like 2% of like, maybe even more of that. Like, that whole church doesn't hold more than 50.
Yeah,
and chuck full. So that's crazy. I don't know. I need to ask how many we're having. Because we're quite a bit bigger.
My brother's parish in Louisiana is having 24.
Dang.
And that's a small parish. Like it's maybe, a full church on there is maybe like 150. Mm-hmm. And 24 new converts is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I've never seen it before.
No.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what this whole turn is being caused by. Maybe we just went you go so far one way, there has to be a correction. That's what we've been doing the last 20 years is you've just been going further and further away from that. Yeah. So it's kind of only natural that there's going to be a course correction. That's the only way, what I can think of. I'm not smart enough to know the real reason why. But that's what makes sense in my head, is that it's kind of just has to correct somewhere, just because of going from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense, because I see it too. Where I mean, my Instagram algorithm is whatever it's going to be, but like I see a lot of like mega church stuff, and I think that the mega churches I think it's turning a lot of people off. Like they modernize so much and so fast. Like I don't know how much of it's true in AI, but like you see the ridiculous like mega churches having these like full blown like aerial entrances for like the drummer.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all the smoke machines and everything.
Yeah, I have the smoke machines.
It looks like an EDM concert.
Well, we technically have smoke machines too, if you want to be technical. We got there's been plenty of smoke in the Catholic Church, especially around Easter. But yeah, the most. I'm not saying there's not like more modern Catholic churches, but the most modern thing I've ever seen in a Catholic church, me personally, is when they project the page for the song or the readings on the wall.
Yeah.
That's the most. I'm not saying there's not a church that has a TV in it, like a Catholic church that has a TV in it. I bet it's somewhere, but the vast majority is the most technology you have is microphones. Like that's all you've got, and there's probably some that still don't even have that.
Yeah, the projectors.
Yeah.
I know. Have you had a projected homily before?
What do you mean? Like he's projected on the wall?
No, it'll be like the homily, but he'll be like, "We're gonna watch this video."
No.
Yeah, I was in California and they did that.
I've been shown a video after Mass. Well, he hadn't given the blessing yet, so then you still had to stay there. You couldn't leave, but it was basically after Mass. And they showed us something. They wheeled out a TV. They had to wheel out like an 80-inch TV that they had because there wasn't one. Because there wasn't one at the wall. But I don't remember what they showed us. That was a couple years ago. But that wasn't part of the homily. That was after Mass, just right before the end. Yeah.
Maybe like a message from the bishop or something.
Yeah, no, I think it had to do with some series or something. So it was related to some sort of Catholic media. I don't think it wasn't anything like that. So it wasn't like a video message from the bishop, like Emperor Palpatine or anything like that. But
coming soon. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, there has been modernization.
Oh,
in
yeah.
The Catholic Church.
I don't know enough about like Vatican II, but that was kind of like the whole.
Yeah,
your eyes got big when I said it. Like that was kind of the modernization of the Mass. Is that an okay way to say that?
I think. I mean, it was like the Novus Ordo, right?
Yeah.
Like they kind of moved away from like the Latin, right?
Right.
They went more Novus Ordo. If that's even how you say that, I think that's how you say it. But they, I mean, that's like the Mass we grew up with, though.
Right.
You know?
And it makes sense to an extent why they did certain things, because it opens the door to more people. You know, and I think
it presents you the tools and easier access to the tools.
Right. A more digestible way.
Yeah.
To experience.
Yeah.
That.
And I mean, the argument I think is like, well, maybe it's just laziness. You know, it's like, well, why don't you just understand the Latin? Mm-hmm. I think the Latin is beautiful. I love going to a good Latin Mass, you know, where like the priest, he's facing the tabernacle instead of the people.
Mm-hmm. I think that's all. I've only been to one or two of those.
Yeah.
I think. I've been to, I know it's this. I've been to Spanish Mass, which that's the same as it's just in Spanish.
Yeah.
It's the same as the Mass we would normally go to, which that's super easy to follow. You know, that's the great thing is you can go to a Mass that's in Spanish and you can participate in it just as much. If the homily's in Spanish, you're kind of screwed there. But pretty much everything else,
ven señor.
Right. That's what I've always thought was so awesome is that just like every church around the world you're doing the exact same thing. You have the exact same readings. You know, you the only thing that's different is the people who are there, and then what homily you get for 10 minutes. You know, it's everything else is the same. It's the same every time. It's just when you go on vacation, you go to a church, you feel like you're at home because everything's the same and it's just consistent, and that's awesome. Yeah,
I did get to go to a couple different churches while I was gone. One was more modern. It reminded me a lot more of St. Malachy's, just like borderline circle church, but not full circle church. But they definitely, I think they had a school. That is usually a huge lifeline for the communities, just because then you have the kids, the young people.
And I know of people who send their kids to Catholic school who aren't even Catholic. They just know they're good schools to go. They're good schools, and that they might not even be Catholic or Christian, and they still send their kids there anyways.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I know like Catholic school, it's kind of gotten a bad rep, I think, in our generation.
Well, you see a lot of in media and movies and things, you see all the strict Catholic school. You picture, you hear Catholic school, you picture like nuns with beating the kids in class and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And I've seen, obviously I've never been to Catholic school. I was homeschooled, but, like the Catholic school around here, there are no nuns. They're just normal people, that are, they have principal, they have teachers. The only other difference is connected to a church. They have occasionally, I'm sure the priest comes in and they'll have specific things, and they go to mass every Wednesday, during school hours at 9:00 or whatever. They have mass, and I'm sure they teach. When you do math, it's going to be Johnny has 2 crucifixes, and his friend gave him 2 more. How many does he have? That's what the math problems are going to be like. That's what it is.
Can you imagine? So that you bring up a good thing there, like with because like we were talking about how Gen Z seems to be coming back to tradition. Mm-hmm. We crave that because everything has gotten so all over the place. It's like, okay, we need we need direction, because it's do what you want and pick and choose what you believe and all this. I know it gets deeper than that, but I'm using it as an example in this case scenario where it's like, you want something that is so much more constructed, so much more like thorough and authentic. And so I think that there's a big attraction there. I think also having an American Pope is doing a lot for the church in America. And I like Pope Leo. I only have good things to say about him. I think he does a really good job in not just being like the Catholic Church of America. It's not the American Catholic. It's still the Roman Catholic Church.
Right. Well, because he said was it Latin that when he first spoke in public, it was in Latin, wasn't it? So I mean, like that. Yeah, he didn't come out and be like, "Sup guys, I'm the new Pope. Go Bears!" Like that's he definitely.
I wouldn't have been mad about that.
Right. I don't know. There have been people who would for sure. So, but yeah, he definitely did it right. That way, it doesn't feel like. I mean, it feels like you have an American Pope, but you're not. It doesn't. He's still just the Pope. There's nothing different about that other than he's from America. He's from Chicago.
Right. Let's go. I think he can communicate much more effectively to the American people than Pope Francis was able to, or Pope Benedict XVI. I was looking at like how you were talking about the image of the nuns in the school. Mm-hmm. Like that's our parents' generation. Mm-hmm. That's what they experienced, and there was a huge dip in like attendance from their generation. And that's just like I've been really thinking about this. I was just talking to a friend today about it actually, and I think one of the things that led to that is they were trying to mass educate people, but they were focusing on the wrong things about the church. We kind of introduced this whole like faith governing by like fear. It was like, do this or you're going to go to hell. Or it's like, oh, you can't do this. We were dealing with like contraceptives and just like the sexual revolution in the 60s. There was Vatican II. It was huge. It was really confusing, and we kind of stopped giving people the why. Mm-hmm. Like when we would explain, like it'd be like the church would be like, you can't do contraceptives. People would say, why? And they go, because we said so. And I think that really deterred, especially the intellectual who needs to know the reason why. It's not that they're very intelligent, but you're not giving them the dignity of that intelligence.
Right, because that's how I am. That's my first thing is I read something, anything. It doesn't even matter if it has to do with the faith or just anything that I read. If it's a thing and I'm questioning it, why is that? Like, I'm not saying it's good or bad or otherwise, but it's just like, I want to know why.
Yeah, which I think is a total normal human response.
Right, that's not an uncommon thing for sure.
And I think that really hurt the church. It got really, I mean, like, that's kind of like all the, contraceptives really hit hard. And I mean, I love that the church had the wisdom from the very beginning to be like, this is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But where we lacked, especially in American schools, was explaining why it was a really bad thing, you know, because people are hearing no, and they're like, oh, we'll go to hell, yada, yada. But then it's just so much easier to be like, well, these people still believe in God, and they don't have to go to hell for using contraceptives. So I'm just going to, but they're missing the point. It's not about going to hell, you know, it's about what it does to the family and what it does to, like, relationships and love itself when you just start objectifying people without, and like you're able to, like, you have contraceptives now, so now there's no consequence to your actions.
Right. I'm not the best at explaining these kinds of things, but there's so many things that, and I've said this before, that you could have just a regular secular person, and they don't have, if they didn't have to believe anything that the Catholic Church teaches, they don't have to believe in God or anything like that. But if they applied what the Catholic Church teaches and what you need to do to be a good person and to go to heaven, you know, your life will just on earth will be better.
Yeah,
everything about it will be better. Waiting till marriage, avoiding contraceptives, all these things that the church teaches. If you just do these things, your life on earth improves, whether or not you believe you're going to go to heaven by following these rules or not.
Yeah.
Whether you believe there is a heaven, your life will just improve. And to me, that is a good sign. You know, that's like the fact that if you just do these things, your life improves. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. They're just good things to do.
Yeah, and this is what I've really noticed is that's the argument we make, and it's solid. Mm-hmm. It's solid. The people that attack it create these bizarre scenarios of like, well, what if this happened, and what, like, and they start deconstructing the generalization of it. Mm-hmm. And when you start deconstructing, did it twice in a row. You start deconstructing the generalization of it. Yes, it's not going to be a perfect system,
right?
But here's the thing that they don't. There are layers to the generalization. Like, you have an issue, you come up with a crazy scenario. We have a solution. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be as general, but people aren't educated. And that's a big problem, because if you're educated in the general solution and then somebody throws something at you that you're not educated in, like a much more specific problem, like what about atomic pregnancy? You know, people will say that all the time when I'm like talking about being pro-life. They're like, what about this? And it's like, okay, that's a very sad situation to begin with, you know. And when you don't have the education to necessarily like meet somebody that is actually in that, and first of all, if you're not in that situation, don't attack people like you are. You know, I mean, it's good to think about. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm not saying leave them out. Think about it, but you can't like. It's like somebody who's battling cancer, you know, versus somebody who hasn't lost anybody to cancer, and they're gonna be like, "What about cancer?" It's like, okay, the person who observes cancer is so different than the person who fights cancer, and the headspace is totally different. Mm-hmm. You know, like everyone's affected, right? It affects the entire community. But there's a different headspace for each individual. It's like you're trying to make someone else's cross, like someone else's like hardship, everybody else's hardship. And it just, the reality is not everybody has the same problems. And there's different solutions for it. But there are so, we have the generalization because there are so many problems that you can't spend your time being educating everybody on every single one, because just the reality of it is, you're like, the odds of you running into most of this stuff is just slim to none. They happen, they're real, but there's resources, right? And so it's unfair to just like pick and choose like some crazy scenario that's really complicated in its nature and just expect the average Joe to have an answer for it. Right? It's just ignorant, right? But. So that was a lot of words.
Yeah, you kind of went off there.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot all day. But we'll get back into this real quick. I just want to talk real quick about this drink that I found while I was in Florida. So there's an interesting story here. And I got one for you as well. So it's called Kava. And Disclaimer, totally new to this. So
it says,
if anybody knows anything about kava, please let us know.
They're screaming at their screens right now, don't drink it.
Don't drink it.
It says plant-powered, non-alcoholic, social tonic. It is a social tonic. It is not alcohol. I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like the taste of it. Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids. I don't. You shouldn't either.
Yeah.
Can't speak for Zach.
I don't do drugs. Unless kava is somehow a drug. Let us know.
So this is just it's a tea.
Yeah.
It also says dietary supplement.
So let me tell you how I found this. The first time I was in Hawaii, and it was like November of 2026, I think. No, it's not even November 2026. Hang on. It was in November 2024 maybe, or 2023. I don't remember. Basically, though, staying in a hostel, and there was this Australian guy that I met there. And he comes up to me one day and he was like, hey, have you ever had kava? And I was like, no, what is it? And he's like, it's a drink. He's like, you drink it and it's like alcohol but no hangover. I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. Where do you get it? And he was like, well, I don't know. I've never had it before, but I want to try and find some. I was like, okay. So I was going to go look for some. It was kind of getting later at night, so I go walking around the town. I walk into one of these like liquor stores, and I asked them if they had kava, and the lady was like, no, we don't have kava. I was like, oh, do you know where I can get some? And she's like, I don't know. We don't sell kava. I was like, okay. So I left, and I was walking out of the store, and I was like, is this illegal? Like, that was my thought, because the way she acted towards me.
Reading this can, it's questionable. It's questioning me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it just says, it does say, not for use under 18, pregnant or breastfeeding. I'm sure that's safe, but it does say, do not combine with alcohol or operate heavy machinery after consumption.
Yeah. Well, here it says, a South Pacific plant known for its relaxing qualities. So, I never thought of kava again after that. Mm-hmm. I was in Florida this last week, and I walked into a bar, and I ordered a beer. I was like, I was having Modelo, and they're like, this is a coffee shop. I was like, oh.
Zach walks into a coffee shop and orders a Modelo.
Yeah, it was 3 p.m. And so I was like, I know, I was on vacation. Okay, that's my disclaimer. So it's 3 p.m. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe I'll have a matcha or something, like an iced tea. And I asked for a menu, and I'm looking at the menu, and I flip it over, and it says kava. And then the light bulbs went off in my head. I was like, I thought this was illegal. So I looked it up, and it's totally legal, and it's unregulated, is what ChatGPT said.
Oh, they know everything.
Sometimes they know stuff. And so I asked the guy about it, and he was like, yeah, he was like, you can have some. And so he just gave me some kava, and I drank it, and it kind of made my mouth feel numb.
Well, it says right here, best chilled for a mouth-tingling sensation and full body relaxation.
Yeah. And I just kind of sat down. I got nervous. I was like, what the heck's going to happen? Like, I just take some drugs? I had no idea. And so I sat down, and I just like kind of waited for it to kick in. And then when it did, it kind of hit me the same way caffeine does, but in a reverse effect. So like not like alcohol, like you don't have like the head buzz or anything like that. And I asked him, I was like, am I going to drive? He's like, no, you're fine. It's like, it's totally legal. You can operate machinery. You can do whatever you need to do. You can drive. And I was like, okay. So I've never had it in a can before, so I'm interested to try this. I found this in St. Louis on my way home. I just thought about picking some up so you could try it.
Do they have it around here? Do you not even know?
I think the closest kava bar I found is in Dubuque, Iowa.
I guess I'm sure you can order this can online. I mean, right. I don't see. It's not. I don't. Lalo. It's not.
What flavor do you have?
Blackberry orange.
I got tangerine mango.
I'm a little nervous to tell you the truth. I mean, it smells good. So it's fizzy too.
So I wonder if is it fizzy or carbonated?
Well, that's what I mean. It's carbonated.
Is it though?
Well,
it kind of looks like those. It reminds you of those vitamin C 1,000 milligram packets you put in like.
Well, it says it has 1,000 milligrams of kava root extract, so I don't know how. That sounds like a lot.
Put this in the comments right now if you were like, don't do this. But hey, it's got a nice color.
Cheers.
Cheers for all of our YouTube watchers. First thoughts?
It's got a weird aftertaste. But other than that, it just tastes like a normal, carbonated drink.
Yeah. I don't really have any, mouth-tingling sensation.
No, I'm maybe psyching myself out. So we'll just sip on it while we talk and see if we notice anything. But
we're drinking kava. All right. So whatever that is, let us know. We don't know what it is.
So you went to Florida and Louisiana, but you went all the way over to Texas, didn't you?
Yeah. So I got family in Louisiana. So I made the trek because when I found out it was going to be 13 hours, I was like, do I really want to go all the way there? And my godson lives there, and so I'm really close with them. So I was like, yeah, I'll go see them. I was like, when am I going to get a chance to do this again? So I'd already planned the time out for it. Mm-hmm. So I just plan on getting there sooner than I did. So I got to Louisiana, stayed there for a few days. It was awesome. By the way, I made some videos with the kids. Mm-hmm. Like, they basically made their own mustard. Mm-hmm. So I need to show that to you.
You'll have to show me.
But it was a blast. And then I was there for a couple of days. I left after Mass. And because my buddy Joey lives right over there in Tyler. So Texas. It was like 3 hours.
Okay.
So I drove over there, wanted to see him while I was down there, and it just worked out. So he's got his family. They live right across from the church. It's awesome. And I just love going to their house because even though like Joey is a lot more disciplined than I am, but we have like the same tendencies, like restlessness and everything like that. And so I love seeing him because it's a really good example of like how you can what's the word I'm looking for? Like manage it. Yeah. How you can manage this restlessness that like I have. I mean, clearly, I'm all over the place all the time. Oh, yeah. But I'm also thinking a lot. And I go places with purpose. And I mean, it's always just good to see him because he has that like organization that I lack right now. And so I love seeing what's possible, and I love talking to him about being in that position because he still deals with like the same thoughts of like restlessness, but he just is so much more disciplined because he understands his role as like a husband and as a dad, and so he's able to like look at the mission more and just kind of like, I'm building something really cool, and he just totally commits to it 100%. And it's but he really like makes it real for me because you'll see people doing it, like the conquest dads or whatever, when we were growing up, like you see people doing it, but I see the vulnerability though when I talk to Joey because he's still doing it, but he's like, this is really hard. And like we were talking about that, him being right across from the church is so important, like so helpful for him because he realized, he's like, I cannot imagine.
Are you talking like literally like right across?
Yeah,
like,
right
so
across.
He's like 30 seconds
like
walking and he's there.
He could throw a baseball and hit it, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with his left hand. Well, your right hand, I guess.
But yeah, my right hand.
He I was talking to him about it, and he was, I said, how do you like see grace in your life just like moving? And he was telling me, he was like, I don't understand how people can attempt this without it. So he relies very heavily on God for like being able to just do what he does. And I think that's really cool. And I think like I don't know how much of this he really cares about me sharing, but there was one time where we were talking, this was many years ago, and he was discerning to be a priest at one point. He was talking to his spiritual director about like, whether he was to be a priest or to be a father. And the priest asked him, what do you think would put you on your knees more? Like, what do you think would make you depend on God more? Wow. Yeah, and I thought that stuck with me a lot. Because he was like, it'd be so easy for him to go be a priest. He's like, he loves the liturgy of the hours. He loves like the idea of celebrating Mass and all of that. And he's like, I would just be so happy. But like, at the same time, life is not necessarily about that, it's about what's going to make you get closer to God. So it was so profound to me to hear him talk about literally like celebrating the Mass, how much more intimate with Christ can you be from my perspective, to being like, no, I'm actually like being a husband and being a father is going to make me closer to God because I'm going to need him more.
Right. That is really crazy. Yeah. I mean, it kind of exactly shows that everybody's created for a different purpose. Not everybody, God doesn't want everybody to be a priest.
Yeah.
So there's people that were made for it and people who weren't. So it's crazy to hear you say it, but it kind of makes perfect sense when you really think about it. And that was a really cool question to ask, and that he was able to and the fact that he was able to answer it for himself and know that is crazy.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of the numbness now.
I feel a little tingle on my tongue. That's about it. Yeah. I'm not a fan of. I'm assuming it's the kava flavor itself. Like I get an instant of like the flavor of the drink, like the blackberry or whatever. Okay, yeah. And then there's just this
kind of like a rooty, earthy.
Yeah, which is a root. So it makes sense. It
tastes like dirt.
Yeah, it's a little bitter, a little dirty, a little bit like a root.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. I mean, I've only had a little bit of it, but I don't.
You gotta drink it like you drink water.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a great visit. We didn't have all those discussions, but we had many similar discussions. And it really another thing worth bringing up is everybody I went and saw on this trip. It's like there's this crazy network through the church, and even though some of these friends aren't practicing anymore. Or they're not as into it as they once were. I have found my best friends through the church, and through religion, just Christianity as well. Some of them aren't even Catholic, but there's just something about that bond where when you come together through that, and if you're able to talk religion and share I'm gonna say supernatural experiences you've had in your own life, because we all have them. Some people will be like, well, I've never had it. I'm just gonna say look for it, and you'll see it pretty, really look for it. Ask and you shall receive. But those friendships, just I haven't seen Vince since your wedding, and I hung out with him, and it was we were back at your wedding, nothing had changed. It was literally the exact same. And we talked about a lot of things, and things that obviously the world's gotten so controversial now. So it's are we still friends? And we were we aligned perfectly with everything. And so it's just really cool to see how that foundation still sticks with the person. You can grow apart and the world changes, but somehow you're all still on the same page. I think that starts when you're young.
Yeah, but definitely.
Yeah, and there's so much crap out there now. So I think the church is just kind of it's a beacon. It's calling people, and it doesn't even have to try at this point. The world has gotten so bad. Right. People are just coming to the church. We're not out there advertising. You don't see the billboards sign up now like the Mormons do. No offense to any Mormons out there, but I get on Instagram and they're always inviting me to come to church, and that's great, I'm sure that they have their success, and I'm sure they have their own encounters with God. But my point is, the church doesn't, the Catholic Church, we don't have to try.
Right. I feel the only the Catholics that do that, it's always on such a more personal level. All the converts that I know were because you were just, you were close friends with somebody, or you were dating somebody, and you're just hey, want to come to Mass with me? And they say yes. They come, they experience it, they ask questions, and you answer them.
You answer
them. That's the important part. You're not sitting there with a street sign on the corner, trying to get people to come to Mass. It it happens at such a more personal level.
Yeah.
And I think that is really good for it. And then there's just something about the Mass. I love hearing people from other Christian denominations who everybody has their preconceived notions about the Catholic Church. And I like listening to people who've actually went and not just believed them, but actually tried to question them and figure out, is this true or is this not true? And so they'll go to Mass. Not saying every single one of them becomes Catholic, but it does happen. But there's also a lot of them are just they aren't so bad. They can come. You come to Mass and you see that the people that are there, they love God. They have a reverence. There's a reverence in the Catholic Church that you don't see in a lot of other denominations. And I think that they when they see that maybe that was a little bit of controversial.
No, that's a good point.
I think that they can see that, and then they're like, well, how can I see this and then accuse them? They can't be so bad when you see all this, And so it's like there's just all those preconceived notions.
Yeah, misconceptions.
That when you actually look into it, a lot of those aren't there.
Yeah, like the church. I don't, and I've been Catholic virtually my whole life, and
virtually.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I was
not just your whole life.
Well, I was adopted and things. So,
oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah. So I come in though, and I don't really see a whole lot of marketing. Maybe other people do. Maybe it's just not on my algorithm because they already got me or whatever. But
they got you.
I don't see all these ads to get people to become Catholic, and it's not that we're quiet about it. That's the thing. There's no secrets. Everybody, and that's the other thing Netflix really likes to portray. That's my point. There's so much anti-Catholic marketing, and we don't really counteract it with anything. We put out media, but those are resources for already Catholics. Like Fulton Sheen, had his show. Mother Angelica had her show, but it wasn't like.
And then there's the people like us that just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's the most that they have. The church does it themselves. They don't advertise.
No, I don't think so. I haven't experienced. I mean, maybe to come to a conference, but again, that's for the people of the church. But it's people, they come into the church or they come to mass, and they, even Catholic or not, and everything is there. It's not like there's some behind closed doors secret monopoly working to extort people or anything. And I think that Netflix portrays it as that. I've seen a couple of documentaries that have been on Netflix, and The Secrets of the Vatican, things like that. They try and make it really mysterious, almost like a cult, like a Freemason thing. But it's there's no secrets. You ask and you will receive. If you have a question, we're going to answer it. And the other beautiful thing is, it is at the intellectual level of all people. So if you are somebody who you just need to go to church, you just need to go to mass, and that's how you encounter God and everything, and you're not super deep in your faith, that's fine. They're not gonna you're gonna be able to go and you're gonna be able to get fed, and it's not gonna be this burden of do better and all this stuff. But you have the opportunity always to go deeper, and however much you want to know, you'll never know it all. Mm-hmm. But it's all available. So it's just how much do you want to look into it? Mm-hmm. How far do you
want to go? What do you want to be level 1?
Yeah.
Do you want to be level 100?
Another great quote I got from a lady, one of my friend's moms told me. It just gave me chills when she said it, because I've always viewed her as a very religious, very pious woman. And one thing she told me was, she's my biggest fear is dying and going before God and saying, Jesus, here I am. And he looks at me and says, I do not know you. And I was ooh, that hit me hard. And it's if she just had that notion where she's I want to know God, and I want to pursue him while I'm alive. So it's even though we go and there are the surface level Catholics, there are the Catholics that they just go to church and that's all they do. But then you have the ones reading their Bible daily. Yeah, and then you have the ones that are attending these groups and just going deeper and being a part of their community and their faith community. And, I think one thing that they talked about in Louisiana while I was there is they were doing this whole Lenten study or thing or whatever. And their priest was really good, total type B personality. And he was just super direct. And he was well, I want to hear what you think the voiceless people in the church are. And I'm you got to sit there now. You got to think, because he had every table write down, who do you think in the church has no voice? And I think he wanted you to think about it, but at the same time, he wanted to empower you. He wanted to give you a voice just by asking you that question.
Just by asking that question,
yeah.
He made it unanswerable. That's clever.
So, and people were writing stuff down, and
there was somebody in the corner just they were writing. They had 10 different things written before he finished what he was saying. There was one person that I know it.
Yeah, and it was good though. It was really thought provoking and started stirring stuff up. But I always the lady I was sitting next to. We just started talking. And we didn't know each other, but that was not hard for me to just start talking to her.
That's for sure.
And I mentioned to her, I said, one thing that I personally have not experienced necessarily is the opportunity to to lector, to like participate, like be an usher, something like that. Like there's people that
you were an altar server.
I did that one day.
Oh yeah, you didn't do it.
Yep, I did that one day, and it was
You
because
and I. We would go at the end of mass. At St. Catherine's, we would go and carry
things back,
the stuff back, help them unload.
Yep.
That was the closest thing we ever got. Yeah, I didn't ever do it.
Yeah, I did it one time. I didn't want to do it, but we had the bishop coming to St. Catherine's, and so my mom wanted me to show up and be the one day I was supposed to serve was the day the bishop came.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't necessarily a great idea, but it worked out. It didn't work out. It was fine. I was fumbling all over the place, but it was fine.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that I know I struggle with was like, how do I get to participate? Because it's not like there's any like programs, and I think that was something I brought up to this lady, as I was like, I want to do this, but it always has felt like I had to be the brave one to go up and be like, hey, Father, like after Mass or something, to be like, I thought about lecturing, how do I do that? And like timid. I mean, I'm not timid, but like I'm just lazy. But I feel like that's something that a lot of other young people would struggle with, is like putting that forward. I think like if there was more of like an invitation, if they were going to be more like, hey, we're doing lecturing classes or whatever, I mean, you don't really need a class, but just give someone the confidence to be like,
create the opening so then they want to, so then they can apply to do that.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. I know I'm never gonna, that's not my thing. But maybe someday, someday. That's not my thing. That's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Proclaiming the word.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably wrap this one up.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll come back to this.
Yeah, you could talk about it for hours.
Like I said, you'll go as deep as you want. So
I gotta say, after having this, I don't feel any different having this fancy tea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. You feel it?
I feel it, yeah. I feel it in my back.
You feel it in your... That's weird. No, I
got like stress and stuff, and so it's just like...
No, I don't notice anything, so I guess there is a little bit of a mouth tingle to it, but that's about it, so...
Okay, maybe you just have a natural tolerance.
I'm immune to Kava.
All right, well, hey, this has been good. Yeah, we'll come back to this.
Okay.
But hope everybody is having a good week. Thanks for all the new subscribers. It's been awesome to see people coming in and engaging. Just keep it up in the comments. We see you guys down there. We're not forgetting about you. We got some more Star Wars episodes coming up in the future. But other than that, we appreciate the support.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. See ya.